we did talk about our personality types. Having said that, I always believe that none of us has the inability to change if we so want. And every time, based on the situation that we have, there may be a need for us to change some behaviors of us, even, even if we are successful today. So what it really means to me is that in spite of the fact that we are successful, all of us, and that success has happened because of certain behaviors we have exhibited over a period of time, which has given us positive outcomes. There are also certain behaviors which we have not exhibited or maybe exhibited, but which have not been very useful to our growth. Till now, those behaviors may not have prevented us to come so far. But for us to go to the next level, there may be a need for those behaviors to change. So we call them in spite of behaviors, right? Till now, because of the roles that I had, it was not important for me to really get along with people because I was an individual contributor. I was working in small teams. But now suddenly I've reached a position where I have to deal with people beyond my department and they don't report to me. And while I have to deal with people beyond my department, I need to now build up the skills to relate better to them and not only boss them around. So till now, it did not impede my growth till a departmental head. But for my further growth to happen and for my department to be able to do its job, I need to now build those skills which I did not have so far. Now, Triggers is a book that was written by Marshall Goldsmith, fundamentally focusing on only one thing, and that was how do we really change behavior. As per him, and I also found it true in my lives, that there are so many times I've been able to change some behaviors of mine over a long period of time. I've done a number of these behavioral changes have taken place, but even today, there are certain behaviors that I've tried my best, but somewhere I've not been able to change them to that an extent that I will like them. So how do you spark that positive change and create behaviors that last is what this book is talking about. It's known as Triggers. And what I'm going to share with you is also part of an entire program that we do. It is known as Triggers, Becoming the Person That You Want to Become. And it is based out of 3 books that John Maxwell has written. The first, of course, is Triggers, and we'll talk about triggers in greater detail. The second is what got you here won't get you there. Meaning the behaviors that I've exhibited so far has helped me to come to this position. But if I continuously just develop those behaviors and do not develop new behaviors, I will not go to the next level. So this entire book also has been tapped into in the entire program that we did. Of course, I'm not going to go through the entire program here, but part of that. And there's another beautiful book that he's written, which is known as Mojo. And Mojo is what? The inspiration that comes from inside. How do we spark that inspiration within me and keep that inspiration of mine alive, especially during the journey of change? Because as you all know, and as I have experienced myself, when we get into a journey of change, initially there's a lot of excitement. I'm so excited. I've got a goal for myself. I write it down. I focus on it. 1 week goes by. I'm excited. The second week goes by. I'm less excited. The third week comes. I said, forget it. And after a period of time, I lose interest and that inspiration within me to make the changes that I want. So how do you get it, that inspiration, that spark within you? How do you get it? And how do you keep that spark alive within you? It's this beautiful book, which is Mojo. So I would suggest at some point in time, I know you have libraries, go and pick up these books from the libraries and read it. I'm sure they will transform your life. Now, who's Marshall Goldsmith? For people who don't know, I just put a slide for you. You can just go through it. The #1 executive coach in the world, coached the best of the best people in the world, the World Bank CEO, the Ford CEO. really top of the line people he has coached. And very recently, he's also come out with his movie, The Earned Life, where he talks about what got him here, wherever he is. So this is about him, written more than 100 odd books that he's written or co-written. Now, my association with Marshall Goldsmith goes back to 2014. When I first got certified on Marshall Goldsmith certified coaching, and then I kept on interacting with his content and with him. And today I am certified on one-on-one executive coaching of senior professionals. I'm also certified on team coaching. I'm also certified to do programs on triggers. I'm also certified on doing assessments for him. And unlike the previous assessment that we talked about, that was DISC assessment, this assessment is a 360-degree assessment. That was some conversation we had in the previous interaction that we had when people said difference between psychometric and 360-degree. So this is more about 360-degree, getting people around me to tell me what are the behaviors they are seeing and what are the behaviors they will like to see in me, which I'm not demonstrating. So when I get an outside-in perspective, I'm able to see what people need from me and what is the environment that needs from me. And thereby, then I make the changes that are relevant for my growth and growth of my people and my team. So this is my association with him. Also, 15 days back, there's this movie of his which got released. I played a small part in it. I'm the only Indian leadership coach. I'm not a guru, who has been a part of this movie. And I share my experiences in India on how I've coached people in India and how they have transformed their lives. So I never claim that I have transformed their lives, because at the end of it, it is the person who needs to transform his life. I can only be a coach, a mentor, and a guide to them. But the real effort and kudos and claps and applause must go to the person who really made the change. So that's my association with Marshall. So the triggers, again, creating behaviors that last and becoming the person we want to be. That's the aim that we want. How do we become the person that we want to become? Now, the sequence of this presentation is again going to be around hour, 10, 15 minutes, slightly more. Is firstly identifying, is behavioral change really difficult? And then going to understanding the concept of triggers. If it is difficult, why is it difficult? And that is where we introduce you. The reason why it is difficult is because we alone are not living in an isolated world. There's an environment around us. And that environment keeps throwing things at us. And when that things come and hit us, even with the best of the intention that I want to get up at 6 o'clock every day and exercise for 1 hour, but because my child was ill yesterday, and that is an environmental thing that came and hit me, and I hadn't planned for it. It is because of that reason I cannot get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, because I'm tired and depleted, and I cannot wake up because I did not have a good night's sleep and I cannot exercise. So we'll understand the concept of these triggers which are coming to us. How can we anticipate them? How can we do something about minimizing their negative impact on me? Because at the end of it, it's going to impact me. There's no doubt about it. But how can I minimize that impact on me? And how can I then do something which keeps me focused on what by that external happening around me, and maybe also some internal triggers. So that's what we are going to understand, the concept of triggers. We are also going to reveal you 15 reasons as to why people don't achieve their goals. What are 5 myths? What are 5 mindsets that people have which prevent them to really make the changes that they want to, in spite of the fact that they want to make those changes? So we are very clear that we know of ourselves that many times we have wanted to make a change. It has come from inside. I also know that the impact it will make to my life and impact it will make to people's impact around me. I even know that. But the challenge here is What stops me even then? While I'm committed to it, why can't I change? So there are 15 reasons that Marshall has identified, and we'll talk about that. We are also then going to talk about some practical processes to enable behavioral change. Is there a method? Is there a tool that we can use so that we can become more effective in the change that we want to make, specifically in terms of behavioral change? So that's what we are going to do. So if I were to ask you, reflect on 5 years from now, reflect on 5 years from now, what do you see yourself being? What do you see yourself as becoming the person you want to become? Visualize that. What would that person look like? What would you see that person doing? What would you see that person behaving? The manner in which, how would you like to see that person behaving? What are the results you would expect to achieve in 5 years? If I was to give you a piece of paper and ask you to write that down, and let me do that. Let me ask you to write that down in 5 sentences for yourself. In whatever paper and pen, or you can type it out. Take around two minutes or so to write down the person you want to be 5 years from now. And focus on various aspects: professional aspect, personal aspect, family aspect. So just see it from 3 points of view. Personally, what do I want to be interacting with? Whom, my relationships. Professionally, what I want to be, right? Personal and professional, how do I want to see myself? Just take 2 minutes to write that down. 5 years from now, your professional life and personal life.
Trigger and or Mojo, both is from Marshall Goldsmith, right, sir?
Both Marshall, yes. Both.
Okay. So yesterday also you told one name of one book, sir.
I've forgotten that. Where did I? Okay. What was the second I did? Second was, okay. No, yesterday I gave you actually 3 books names. You'll have to see the video. I have forgotten.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually showed you 20 books of John Maxwell, all of which are based on which we do our programs. 20 programs of his.
John Maxwell. No, sir, I got Mojo and Trigger in Amazon.
Yeah, you'll get. You'll also get What Got You Here won't get you there. What got you here won't get you there. Okay, if you have written down, I'm sure you would have written down with great clarity, and you would have seen yourself being successful professionally. You would also have written down that you are happy. So your clarity about what you want to be happy, you want to be successful, you want to be looking after your physical well-being, you want to be healthy, you want to be eating right, you want to have great relationships. So all these things we can very beautifully chart down, and all of us know that this is the person we really want to be. And having said that, we are also ready to make the changes, make the sacrifices that are required of us. So that clarity everybody has, what kind of life they want to lead, the ideal life. Right? And many of us say, oh, once I retire, then I will lead my ideal life. Or when I reach that position, once I reach, then I will live my ideal life. But that's never going to happen, because when you reach there, again, you'll be having more things to do and not lesser things to do. But everybody is clear the ideal life that one wants to live, and all of us are committed to making the changes that are required of us. There's no doubt about it. But the reality is, in spite of having clarity, in spite of being committed, the reality is so different, because we have not been able to make those changes in our lives in spite of us knowing that these are important changes. that just having clarity and having the will to change in itself does not bring about change. Because if it was that simple, then all of us would have been fantastic persons and just the right people that we would be so proud of ourselves. So there is something deeper which we don't know or which is stopping us becoming the person we want to become. So change is so difficult that it has been found in research that 50% of adults make New Year resolutions, but only 10% of them manage to keep it for a couple of months. In fact, it has been found that the maximum registrations is not in this era where there's COVID, but normally the maximum registrations in a gym is during the New Year or during the first month of the New Year. And all of us have tried this out. We have signed for the gym, we have paid the money in advance, we are very excited about it. And we go there and slowly it dwindles. And at the end of it, you say, why did I waste money here? I don't even go there. Right? So change is difficult. There's no doubt about it. Why is it difficult is what we want to know. Also, very surprisingly, it has again been found through research and it has been published in the Journal of American Medical Association that even after a heart operation, cardiac procedure, only 1 out of 4 people, in spite of being told by the doctors what lifestyle they must keep and what lifestyle they must change, only 1 out of 4 is able to keep that lifestyle. So even at the risk of death, people are not being able to change. And that's surprising. If it's not normal, if you don't change, you may not get the next promotion. Oh, I don't want it. But here it is a question of life and death, and even then people are finding only 25% of the people make any changes at all. And all the changes may be even much lesser than that. So change is difficult. That is no doubt about it. The point is we don't know why. Because we have tried our best. So there is some missing link that we have which is preventing us doing that. And that is evident in our day-to-day life. We have a to-do list that we make, right? And how many times do you come back from office or before you go to sleep, you see your to-do list and find that there are certain important things in your to-do list which you have not been able to do. So what are we talking about making long-term changes? We are not able to hold ourselves accountable even on a day-to-day basis. In spite of writing it down, in spite of knowing what we need to do, in spite of having commitment to write it down, in spite of having the commitment to read it once or twice during the work day, in spite of the commitment we have to see it before we sleep and say, my God, I still didn't do these important things. So obviously there's something beyond what we know that is preventing us to make the changes that we want. To understand that, I will like you to do a little activity for yourself. In the last 5 to 10 years, write down some big goals that you wanted to achieve or some changes that you wanted to make. And then write down which of these changes you were able to make and which were you not able to make. So obviously, write down 5 things possibly that you wanted to change. 3 of them you were able to change, 2 you were not able to change. Why were you able to make the changes? And why you are not able to make the changes in the one you could not change. So write that down. And also then I'll ask you this question, why is real change difficult? So if you could do it for 3, why couldn't you do it for the other 2? So just I'll give you around 2 minutes to reflect on this and take this action for yourself so that you can connect it to your real world. Okay, if you are able to write this, reflected on this, please type on the chat, why is real change difficult? Why do you think change is difficult, especially in the areas that you wanted to change but you didn't change? Just write it down. Sometimes situation not absolutely. Sometimes the situation around you, the environment around you is not supporting you. Great, that's a good one. Anybody else? It happens. You need support. Changes cannot be done all alone. That's why people, if they want to go to a gym and want to exercise, they make partners, right? So you need the right environment. If you go to a gym which does not have the right environment, you joined it because you thought it was a great gym, but once you go there, you find people are coming there and only talking around and having just socializing, right? Nobody is really exercising. That environment will stop you, for which I had dependency on others. I had problems, absolutely. And we are living in an interdependent world. None of us can do everything all by ourselves. We need support. Great. So, two things rightly brought out. Some changes need support from others. Absolutely. Most of the changes need some kind of support from others. Not following up. Yeah, absolutely. I planned for it, wrote it down, didn't follow up. So, with that in mind, let us see, are we in control or are we not in control? This is a question that has been asked so many times. Are we in control of our lives or are we not in control of our lives? Not in control. Not in control. If that was so, if you are completely not in control of our lives, then we would see what would happen, right? So there are four mindsets that people have, right? And that mindset is focused on two things. One, internal control. Am I in control of myself? Second, is the external environment in control of me? So internal control to external control, where are we? If I believe that I have no control over my life and everything is dependent upon the world, the outside factors, that the world creates me, that people who have achieved whatever they have achieved is because they were in the right place at the right time, born to the right family, got the right bosses, everything fell in place for them. It was just the external circumstances which made them who they were. Then we believe in only one thing, and that is fate. Human being is too small to fight its fate. Whatever has to happen will happen. Why should I need to work? So these people believe that the world creates me and I have no control over it. So that's one kind of people. There could be another who say everything is law of probability. Neither I create myself nor my environment. It is all a fluke. Things happen. Why they happen, nobody knows. So life is a series of events which happen on its own without any impact from. So it's just a walk in the park. I'm here just to walk around. If good things will happen to me, that will happen. I can walk across the street. If a car has to hit me, it will. It's not the car's fault. So everything in life is a fluke. So these people believe there's chaos. Nothing matters externally, nothing matters internally. Everything is just happening because it is just happening. Nobody knows why it is happening. So these people have given up completely of life and left life to take control of whatever is happening in them. The third kind of people say, I create the world. Whatever I think, whatever I visualize, if I'm able to do it clearly, and I will be able to achieve it. There's this book known as The Secret, which talks about this. The secret is being able to visualize what you want, and whatever you can think of, whatever you can visualize, it's all within me. It will happen on its own. I think this is the most atrocious concept ever been told to people about success. Because it absolves you of everything. I don't have to do anything. I only have to think. That's all I have to do. I have to visualize. And once I visualize, I don't even have to act on it. So it is only my thought that will take me. So I create the world in my dreams, in my thought. And what I can create in my thought, I don't have to do any action in that. Nothing will matter. It is just God will then guide me through that heaven, path to heaven. So some people believe that. And when they don't get it, then they say, no, I haven't thought clearly. I was not very clear what I wanted. That's why I didn't get it. Now, there are the fourth kind of people who say both things. I am in control in some places, and the external world also controls me. So they are, both things are there. I cannot say I don't have to do anything. I will leave to fate. No. So fate is what happens to me. And choice is what do I do when something happens to me. So it's a mix of fate and it's a mix of choice. Both need to go hand in hand. So it is the cards. What is fate? The cards that you are dealt. Where was I born? How rich were my parents? Right? And after that, I also need to do something. So fate is one thing, but then people also need to deal the cards properly, play the game properly. I may get all the good cards. But do we know of people? I know of people. I know of many such people who are born in super rich families, super rich. Those people don't even have to work a single day in their life. And without that, they will live 5-star lives. So these people have fate given to them, everything given to them by fate. But they live such miserable lives that they get into all kinds of drugs and they waste a complete life because they do not make the right choices. So the fact is, mutual creation. I create the world, but the world also creates me. Right? I have a choice. So what really happens? Most of us go through life unaware of how environment shapes our behavior. What happens to us is that we get triggered by the outside world over and over again. And because of that trigger, if I am pulled by that trigger and I react without taking responsibility of my reaction or believing I have no choice, so I'm driving, somebody abuses me, and I believe I have no choice but to abuse back, then I'm not making the choices that I can make. So that instance of somebody abusing me will happen. That's fate. But now I have the choice to choose whether I will respond or react to it. So I always have a choice. So I am creating the world, and at the same time, triggers in my world are creating me, are coming to me. So both things go side by side. So with that in mind, let us now define what is triggers. Trigger is a stimulus that may happen, and it can happen from a person, it can be an event, incident, or it can be an environment, situation. So any stimulus that may impact my behavior is a trigger. So a trigger happens, external event happens. Based on that, something internally shifts in me. Based on that, I make a behavior. I act out a behavior. And that behavior is what the trigger is. So a behavioral trigger can be direct or indirect. Meaning what? It can happen right directly to me. That means you are my boss, you are shouting at me directly. Now I get impacted by it. But have you also noticed at times when your boss is shouting at a colleague of yours, you still get impacted? It's happening to somebody else. For me, one trigger is India losing the cricket match. Is it happening to me? No. It's indirect. But the day we lose, I'm in depression. I feel life is not worth living. They have lost the match. It's an indirect trigger, but it is as powerful as if I have lost that match. So a trigger can be direct or indirect, and it can still impact you equally. It can be internal or external. What do you mean? No, nothing's happening. I'm just sitting here doing my work. Nothing external has happened. Suddenly, when I was doing my work, a thought came in my head about an incident that happened to me 5 years back, where somebody made a fool of me and I suffered a loss of 5 lakh rupees. So internal thought has come triggered within me, and that internal trigger of mine takes me away from my real world and prevents me to do the work that would give me the promotion that I wanted. So our past mental map, our past experiences, internal or external experiences that happen in the moment, are triggers that can happen to us. Many times also what happens, an external event happens, it triggers an internal memory, and then that makes me react. Last time when I met you, I had a fight with you. This time when you enter my office, immediately my brain thinks about that fight, and I'm ready to fight, thinking that this time also you're coming to fight. This time you're coming to say sorry to me. But the moment you enter, I said, how the hell did you enter my room? You didn't even knock. The person was coming to say sorry because he realized he had made a mistake that time. But his entry to your office triggered a memory of the past, which made you believe that this situation is connected with that, and without thinking, we react. So a trigger can be internal or external. It can be conscious or unconscious. Many times we behave in a manner that we don't even know why do we do that. It's buried in our subconscious, right? So these are the various kind of triggers that we can go through in our lives. And do you then agree to a point that if these triggers make us behave in a manner which is counterproductive to what I want, they can impact our life today? If you believe that is true, say yes. Say yes on the chat. If you believe triggers can impact my life negatively if my behavior to them is not controlled. Just go to the S. Yes. Why yes? S is okay. That's S. Okay, great. So having got that, yes, great. Let's go to the next part. A trigger can be encouraging also. So it's not necessarily a trigger will always be negative. If somebody comes and appreciates me, that's an encouraging trigger. I'm doing something, I'm not very successful at it, but somebody comes and says, wow, yeah, great progress. You've done good job. Yeah, I am sure you would be able to do it. And he walks away or she walks away. That's an encouraging trigger. They can also be a discouraging trigger. You have done your job, you have done it well, 20 things are good. Your boss only finds out 2 things which are wrong and shouts at you for that. So this becomes a discouraging trigger. So a trigger can be encouraging. It can also be discouraging. It can also be productive. A trigger can make me do things that get me closer to my goal. It can also be counterproductive, and that's the behavior, that's the outcome of it. But I could also be having a trigger which makes me behave in a manner which takes me away from my goal. So we could have an encouraging trigger, discouraging trigger, productive trigger, and counterproductive trigger. Now, what does encouraging trigger mean? Encouraging means it pushes me towards my goal. It pushes me to keep doing what I'm doing and expanding it further. And when I keep doing what I'm doing, which is supporting me towards my goal, and I expand it further, I get closer to my goal. A discouraging trigger is something which pushes us or stops us or reduces what we are doing. So if you're doing something good, which would have taken me to my goal, if a discouraging trigger comes, it stops me or reduces me to do that work because suddenly I feel disheartened. Productive is what? which push us towards becoming the person we want to be, pushes us towards the goal we want to achieve. Counterproductive, which pulls us away from the goal that we want to achieve. Now let's see this in a matrix. Now let's say I've taken a goal for me. Let's say I've taken a goal of being healthy. I want to be healthy, right? So I will first see what will support me, what are my encouraging triggers, what are my discouraging triggers, counterproductive and productive triggers. Firstly, I will go on this one, which says encouraging counterproductive. What is encouraging counterproductive? I want this. These are things that I like doing. What do I really like doing? I like eating a lot of sweets. I've got a sweet tooth. I want it. Good, bad, I'm not talking about. Right? And it could be different for different people. I want it. I like sweets. I've got a sweet tooth. I like getting up late. So these are triggers that I want, I like, I need. I don't need, I like them. But they are counterproductive. While I want them, they take me away from my goal. So they come under this of encouraging. But why encouraging? Because they motivate me. Eating sweets motivates me. Sleeping late makes me happy. Right? This makes me happy. This makes me get away from my goal. Now let's go to the next quadrant. Discouraging. I don't want it. I don't want to feel tired. I don't want to feel bored. I hate being tired and bored. And when I feel tired and bored, will I be healthy? I won't be healthy. So these two things, I don't want it. I don't want to feel tired. I don't want to feel bored. And if I feel tired and bored, I will also not be healthy. Because my mental health is also coming in this healthiness of mine. Let's go to the next one. Discourage. I don't want it. I hate discipline. I hate getting up in the morning. I don't want it. But I need it. Productive is what I need it. I don't also want to make a diet plan because I love eating. I'm a foodie. So I don't want it, but I have to do that if I want to achieve my goal. So I'm identifying for myself. As I said, it will be different for other people. I'm identifying what is my current triggers which I like, but which is not getting me towards my goal. Some I don't like, and they're also not getting me to my goal. Some I like, but they're getting me to my goal, and some I don't like, but they're still getting me to the goal. And the final is what I want and what I need. If my want and my need is the same, I want to do exercises, different exercises, because I get bored very fast. So I want to join a gym which has got yoga. I want a gym which does Pilates. I also want a gym which has got weights. So that's a gym I want to go through. I also want to do it in a group. So I want to make a partner. So these are the triggers which are going to support me in achieving my goal. Now, ideally, these are the triggers, the one on the right hand side, that I should focus on. Because they are getting me towards my goal. This is what I should avoid. These are the behaviors I need to now develop, which will help me become healthy. I need to be disciplined. I don't want it, but I have to do it. I want to have a diet plan. I don't want it, but I have to do it if I want that. And these are the things that I like doing. Company, I like doing different variety of stuff. So this is encouraging me. This is discouraging, but I still need to do it. So these are the ones, these behaviors are the ones that I need to focus on. Similarly, in the same case, the ones which are encouraging and counterproductive, we give us short-term gratification, but long-term pain. All of us, at some point in time, we are human beings, right? We like short-term gratification, but it is giving me a long-term pain. It is not helping me achieve my goal. So I identify what are those short-term gratifications that I'm doing, which I like, which I'm enjoying, but which are keeping me away from my goal. What are the short-term and long-term? Now this provides short-term and long-term pain. I don't want it and I don't need it. So this is easy to avoid, right? This I can do. But this I want it. But I have to avoid this. So here I will have to use all my willpower not to do this. Now this one is short-term pain but long-term gratification. Short-term pain of discipline, short-term pain of diet plan, but long-term it will get me towards my goal. This provides me short-term gain and long-term gain too. Both things I'm getting. So based on this, you have identified certain behaviors of yours which you are counterproductive, which are not helping you achieve your goal. Some of them which are helping you achieve your goal. Some of them which you don't want to do, but you will have to do. So based on that, what we'll do is, we will ask you to pick a goal that you want to achieve. So all of you on this here, write down one goal of yours that you want to achieve. So anyone can share. We will do this exercise with you. Anyone can share one goal and we will fill up this entire thing with you. That AAA is what you want to do. So anybody wants to take advantage of getting coached live on this session is most welcome. You can unmute yourself. I want to do my life coaching certification. Binda, okay. Can you also unmute yourself so you can write, Binda wants to do her life coaching certification. Right, that's her goal. Okay, so let's go to this one. What is stopping you as of now achieving this dream of yours?
Maybe two things. One is it is little expensive, so I need to get my financials for that. And the second thing is I think doing a life coaching certification as a real-time session would be more better than a online version. So these two things right now.
Okay, so let's take one by one. The first, you said cost.
Yeah.
High cost, right?
Yes.
But if you don't pay for it, will you be able to do it?
Definitely yes.
If you don't pay for it, will you be able to do it?
No, I can't.
No. So here, you want it, right? You want to pay for it, right? So you will write your cost here, high cost.
Okay,
now for that high, I'm just saying, the high cost is stopping you?
Yes.
For you to be able to save that much money, how much money do you want to save per month?
Should be around like 10,000 at least.
10,000, right? So here, I want
No, it should be 20,000 if I'm doing it in a year.
Okay, so 20,000, right?
Okay.
So I want it. What do you want? You want to achieve your goal? I don't need it. What you don't need is spending additional 20,000. So reduce spending of 20,000 comes here.
Okay.
Right? Reduce your spending of 20,000 on things which are not necessary. Those you don't need. So you'll have to identify those. But the fact is, you have to reduce your expenses by 20,000 in those things that you don't need for you to be able to achieve what you want. So what is the short-term gratification? Let's say you eat out 5 times in a month. Let's say. Right? It gives you short-term gratification, but it is stopping you from saving money. So what you will do is, you will say instead of 5 days, I will eat out 2 days. Let's say. Right? Are you there, Binda?
Yes, sir. Since I had a lot of noises around, I just muted in between.
Okay. So that's what you have to do, right? Now, this 20,000 rupees, you have to find out where are you spending it, which you really don't need to spend. You are doing it because you haven't got a plan till now in place. So all those things will come here. Don't eat more than twice a month outside, right? Don't do online shopping beyond 5,000 rupees a month. Where else do you spend money which you think you can save from? Which you like doing? But
I mostly spend money on travel.
On travel, okay. And travel is, how many times do you travel?
I kind of travel at least like 3 months once.
Once in 3 months. I will reduce my travel to one per 2 times a month, 2 times a year. Got it?
So,
So these are your triggers that you don't really need if you want to achieve the goal that you want. That's done? Okay. What else? I don't want it and I don't need it. Is there some payment that you are doing, some expenses that you are doing? What was the second reason you said you can't, that is stopping from achieving this?
I think, I mean, I am not sure if I'm right or wrong, but basically I'm someone who's more good with interacting. I mean, more, find it more comfortable and more good, more better when I could be on face to face. So rather than doing an online version, I think, especially something like life coaching, I would
Yeah.
like a human interaction, a real time interaction, and do that certification course.
Okay. Okay. So I don't want it. What don't you want? You don't want online training,
Yeah.
right? So you can say, do not look for online trainings, right? Don't waste time on any long online trainings. It comes here. You don't want it. You don't need it because you feel it is not going to help you. So any online work that you are doing, please stop doing that because that is not going to give you the desired results. Okay. Now, what else do you think you need to do? Sure. Coming from here, I don't want it, but I still need to do it. You need to save money. You don't want to. Nobody wants to save money. Yes.
I
Yes.
save, but then I save it for my trips, basically.
Yeah. So now you are going to save it because you are going to go twice a year,
Yeah.
right? So this is what you are going to do. You are going to reduce your trips to twice a year. So some things have come here, something will come here. Reduce my trips to twice a year.
Yeah.
Also one more thing. You don't want it, but you may need it to reduce the cost.
Mm.
Is there a case in point to do some portion of it online and a shorter live training so that the cost can be reduced?
I'm
Poss-
I'm I'm thinking about those options too.
So you write it here, right? Identify options where I only spend that much money that is required for live training, otherwise, and save the money from my online. Do research on that. That is what you need to do. Right? Is that research
Yes, sir.
okay? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, having done that and having identified that, something that you will need to do and you also want to do is keep 2 hours or 4 hours every week to study the content that I have got. It could be the online content, it could be any book, right? Because at the end of it, there is a lot of content that is available free or very cheap. You can buy books on live coaching. Yes or no? Can you buy books on live coaching?
Yes, sir. I'm also doing few Udemy certifications that to know those concepts and stuff.
Yeah. So put it here, right? So do 10 Udemy certifications. Buy 2 best-known books on life on life coaching and spend 4 hours every week on it.
That comes in discouraging productive or productive encouraging.
Encouraging and productive,
Okay.
both. Because whenever you are going to read something, it's going to encourage you. I don't know if you feel it is discouraging.
No, I love
Reading a
reading.
book is this.
I
Yeah.
love
So, but
learning things.
fine. But for me, I could be more of a video guy, right? But I also need to read. So then it will come in. I don't want it, but I still have to do it.
Maybe
Right?
I'm
But in
more an
your,
internet person, more a web
yeah,
person.
web person, right? So it is, as we said, the effect of triggers can be encouraging to one person but discouraging to others. Reading a book could be here for you. Reading a book could be here for me. It's a need. I have to do it. I need to do it. I may not want to do it. So a lot of things in life, any behavioral change that you make, we are all behavioral changes you are making towards your goal. Some of these behavioral changes you may not like. See what I mean? But if you have to achieve it, at least you have to know These are some things I don't like, but I have to do that. So everything that comes on this side is something that you need to focus on. Right? So this is a way by which you can identify the various triggers that you have, what I want, what I don't want, what I need to do, what I don't need to do. What I don't need to do is, which is stopping me achieving my goal, spending additional money, spending time reading on every topic that I can because I like reading. So I stop doing it, only read 2 or 3 topics which I want to specialize in. So that all could come here. So wherever you are wasting your time and money, all are going to come here. All the places where you need to do something to come closer to your goal gets to this side. And based on that, you will be able to identify specific behaviors that you need to demonstrate to be able to achieve the goal that you want. Right? In my case, this was it. I don't need to sleep late. I need to prevent my eating of sweets. So this, I don't have to do any of this. I have to focus on this. Right? I need to be disciplined to prevent this. I need to have a diet plan to prevent this. Right? And these are the things I need to do to achieve my goal. So these are the ones. Anything on the right, you get to know are the ones that you need to do. So prescribe to yourself the type of behavior you need to exhibit to become the person you want to become. Any questions with anybody else? Have you understood the concept?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I wanted a real life example. See, please remember, anything that you want to achieve, you will have to stop doing some things that you like. And that is what comes here. I want it, I like it, but I don't need it to achieve my goal. I don't want it, I don't need it. This is easy. But at times, unknowingly, I keep doing this. So this is bringing it to your consciousness to say, this is a waster, time waster. These are all time wasters. These are preventing me to achieve my goal. So this is what I have to stop doing. At times we don't know that. So we get to know this. These are the ones I want it and I need it. I like doing that thing that is supporting me. I like reading a book that supports me to this. I hate going on the internet and doing online workshop, but it is discouraging for me. I don't want it, but I need it. So I'll have to do this. So based on that, you get to know specific behaviors that you need to demonstrate. Anyone else, any question on this, please? Based on what you have written in your own goal, any challenge you have to be able to understand this. You can unmute yourself, because I'm sure somebody will have a question on this. So if you have no question, just write no, so that I know it is clear as insofar as it is now. No. Okay, great. Anybody else? You have 3 seconds to decide if you want to ask a question.
Sir, you told that we have to sacrifice whatever we like a lot, sir.
No, we don't have to sacrifice whatever we like a lot. We have to sacrifice those things which are preventing us to achieve our goal. And sacrifice means you have to reduce it. Because see, nothing in life comes without, everything is a trade-off. To get something, you have to give up something. Now, again, it is purely up to you whether you want to. So there's something known as a cost-benefit analysis. That's another thing that we do in this workshop. Write down the benefits of, let's say, what do you want to, what is one thing that you want to achieve? What is one thing that you want?
No, I wanted to achieve a best teacher award, sir, in any.
Okay. Just look at that. Best teacher award is what you want to achieve, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the benefit of it? Just the first benefit of achieving a best teacher award is what?
No, my self-satisfaction only, sir.
Okay, self-satisfaction. Second, what? Reputation. Reputation. Why not? Yeah, we all like being appreciated by people. So reputation. Third, best teacher award. makes me more, encourages me to go to the next level, right? Third.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, what is the cost you have to pay to be a best teacher? What will you need to do to become a best teacher? Because this is the benefit, but there's a cost to it.
Yes, sir.
What's the cost? What will you need to do to become a best teacher?
Maybe still more smart and hardworking.
So, firstly, learn new methodologies of teaching
Yes.
and practice them in the class,
Yes, sir.
right? 2 hours daily. I'm just writing 2 hours, I'm just saying, or 3 hours weekly.
Yes, sir.
So that's a cost you have to pay. You have to spend 3 hours in reading new material, one, right? In applying that new material in the class and watching its efficacy,
Yes,
and
sir.
making the necessary changes, because it's not necessary what you read, you can apply immediately, right?
Yes, sir.
So your investment in this will be 3 hours every week for the next 6 months. Okay,
Yeah.
what else? What else? You will need to spend some money to buy this material.
Definitely, sir.
So the cost of it is rupees 3,000 rupees per month. I'm just putting a number. That's again a cost to you, right?
No, first preference I'll give to that, sir. No problem.
No, but the fact is, it's still a cost. All I'm trying to
Yes.
write down is you must understand that that is something that you will need to invest. Right? So you have put that down. Also, for 3 hours, that when you are doing this teaching and reading, is there something that you will need to stop doing, which is a waste of time that you do, but you think it is actually a waste of time? Is there one thing that you need to stop doing, which is wasting time in your life?
That I need to figure out and I have to reduce it.
So let us say, yeah. So let us say you are watching the TV, let's say 20 hours a week, let's say, right?
Okay.
And you need to get that additional 3 hours. So you say, I will reduce my TV time to 15 hours, right? Now
Yes.
you have got in front of you the benefit. You have got to know also the cost. Now the next question I'll ask you, are you ready to pay the cost to achieve your benefit that you have written on top? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that is, and it is not necessary all of us will say yes. Some of us may say no, yaar, not worth it. Right? But you should be aware that there is a cost and benefit for it. And that's why I said there are certain things, not everything. She wants to travel every 3 months. Have I told her not to travel at all for the entire year? Yes or no?
No, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
Is
said
it
do it once in 6 months.
twice a year you wanted to cut?
Yes. So there are certain giveaways you will need to do in life to achieve something that you want to achieve. Nothing will come without a cost to it. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Sir, that and all I'll do, but the regularity I'm losing.
So regularity will come to how to do it regularity, right? But as of now, we are only identifying what we need to do. Is that important? Is that the first step?
Yes, sir.
The next step is how do we make it regular, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you so much. Great. Anybody else? Anybody else? Any question on this? Or should I move forward? Okay, let's go forward then. Prescribe to yourself the types of behaviors you need to exhibit to become the person you want to become. So this is something that all of us can do. Identify what you want to achieve. Identify what you like doing, but you will have to stop doing. Because if you don't stop doing it, like I have to stop eating sweets. In fact, my wife has banned any sweets coming to our house now. So I like it, but I have to stop it. There's a sacrifice I will need to make. That's the cost of becoming healthy, right? Also, I need to ensure that I join a gym, and the gym must have facility of various kind of training. But otherwise, I don't like getting bored, right? Which I had written as I don't want and I don't need, because if I get bored, I will never go regularly to the gym. So I identified those triggers of mine, and based on that, I then identified what I need and what I want, what I'm excited about. I put those behaviors down. Then I also write down what I don't want, but I still need to do. I need to follow a diet plan. There is no doubt about it. I need to ensure that I need to be disciplined, that I will need to do. So with this, I have a clear set of behaviors that I must demonstrate to become a healthy person. Okay, let us now go and find out what stops us from making the changes we want to make. And a simple way to avoid all those 15 things. So the first thing that stops us is that we believe that, see, in us there are two people. One is the planner and one is the doer. The planner makes great plans. I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this. But the doer doesn't do what the planner says he needs to do. So, and this is normal. There's knowing and doing live in two different planets. So I may know what I need to do, like we have written down all the behaviors that we need to do. But is it essential that we will follow it? Not essential. But many of us believe that if we make a plan, we will automatically do it. But that doesn't happen. So we need to find a methodology on how the planner and doer needs to get into sync. So the confusion is, if I understand what to do, I will do what I need to do. So people are believing in this, and because they believe in this, that they can do it, once they know what they need to do, they don't take any other support, they don't need to take any other help, and slowly the doer does not follow the instructions of the planner. Second, unrealistic expectation is that whenever I plan to do whatever I want to do, I will never get distracted, and every day will be a perfect day. So if I plan to go to gym every day, going 5 to 6, and my mind says, I will go every day. If I don't go 2 days, I lose heart. And what happens? I stop going altogether. So this is another unrealistic expectation that happens with us, that we think we will be perfect. When we are not perfect, we lose heart. The third is inconsistency. Today is my birthday, so I will not go to the gym today. Today is my daughter's birthday, so I will not go to the gym. So these things stop us from achieving our goal. Today something very, a friend rang up after a long time. I was about to go to the gym, but I said, oh my God, after 10 years, I must speak to him. So a lot of these inconsistent, small, special things, so-called special things that we call come to us. And when they come to us, what happens? We don't do what we need to do. Also, we believe that we have the courage to access and monitor our own behavior, and we don't need support from anybody. I can do it on my own. The fact is that's not true, but we believe we can do it on our own, and that is why we fail. Also, you believe, or we believe, we have tremendous amount of willpower. I have promised I will not eat sweets, and once I have told myself what to do, even I will not listen to myself. That is a good dialogue in a movie, but in reality, you know that doesn't happen. So believing that your willpower will always be strong is a fallacy. Another reason why we don't change is because we compare ourselves to others. I wanted to be healthy. I have a stomach. I look at another person. He's got a bigger one. I say, at least I'm better than him. Yaar. Why should I go today? Right? So we start comparing ourselves with others, and based on that, we don't do what we are supposed to do. Also, we don't consider that we can be tired, we can be overburdened, and our enthusiasm will fade over a period of time. We don't consider that, but that's the reality of life. Next thing that happens is, when I go to the gym and come back, I go to a party, nobody appreciates it. No, this is structure. I don't create a structure for myself. I say I can do it myself. I don't make a plan. I don't get an instructor, because if an instructor will tell me what to do, I don't make friends with whom I go. So I don't create a structure, and I believe I don't need a structure and I can do it all by myself. Next thing why we don't do things is we procrastinate. We think, oh, long time, no? Even if I don't go tomorrow, what? From next week onwards, I'll start going. So that's another reason why we don't change. We also believe one day suddenly something will happen and everything will become perfect, and I'll become perfect, and I'll become healthy, and my stomach will become 6-packs. But one day something will happen. I don't know when that will happen, but it will happen. We believe in some mystical thing happening that will make us change forever. Another thing that happens which prevents us change is that when we become successful in the change, we believe it is forever. We will never get back to our old habits. But that doesn't happen. I am successful for 5 months. I say now I've done it. And 6 months onwards, I suddenly realize I'm not doing it any longer. Also, we believe that if we make a change, that will make our life perfect. So I stop drinking, let's say, and suddenly I have a fight with my wife. And now I say, oh, life cannot be perfect, and I go back to my old habits of started drinking again. So please remember, any change that you will do, even when you are able to do it, you still have challenges in life. And challenges in life will never go away. Then there's resentment. Resentment is people don't notice that I've changed. What's the point of changing? Wives also say, yeah, I haven't changed. I tried everything. So isolation and resentment both are there. You get isolated. You feel that nobody cares about me. Nobody's paying attention. Because nobody's paying attention, why should I change? And also this is the one that I see most people saying is, they say, Pawan, if I change, then I'm not the person I was before. So why should I change? I'm a person who's angry, who shouts at people. But if I change, then I'm not Pawan Bakshi. Then I've changed myself. I'm unauthentic. I want to be myself. But if what you want to be or what you are behaving is counterproductive to what you are wanting to achieve, there is no point being that person who's preventing you to achieve what you want. So as you can say, there are a lot of factors, 15 factors which are loaded against us. Now to overcome that, we need to write this down. So write down a goal that you have been wanting to accomplish for a long time. All of you just write that down. Write down one thing that you have been wanting to for a long time, but you have not been able to do. In my case, being healthy. I want to be healthy and fit and 10 years more healthy than my age. So you also write down what do you want to achieve? What do you want to be able to achieve? Second, write down for how many years have you got that desire. I had this desire for the last 10 years. One day I will become more regular in my exercise. So mark the number of years you have planned on accomplishing 10 years for me. And then describe the likelihood that you will accomplish this on your own. If for 10 years I have not been able to accomplish myself, I cannot accomplish it without needing some kind of a new structure, new system, new process. So this is how it will look, and you have to acknowledge this. You have to accept it. My name is Rajesh. I really wanted to be better at listening to others' opinion before making decisions. I planned on doing this for the last 7 years. I haven't been able to do this by myself for the last 7 years. And there is no chance I will be able to do it myself in the future. I need help, and that is okay. My name is Seema. I really wanted to be better at voicing my opinion when it really matters. This happens with a lot of women. They are not able to express themselves. I planned on doing this for the last 11 years. I haven't been able to do this by myself for the last 11 years, and there is no chance I will be able to do this by myself in the future. I, Seema, need help, and that is okay. So each one of us needs help. We cannot do it alone, and we need a structure and a process which will support us getting better. To be able to write this and ask for help, you need three things. You need courage, you need humility, and you need discipline. So any behavioral change that you need to make, you need to have the courage to agree to the fact that you have not been able to do it on your own. You need the humility to say, I need help. And having got these two, you need to have the discipline to be able to do what you promise yourself you need to do. So the first help that you have got is making that matrix, identifying the behaviors. That's a structure that we have provided you, process that we have provided on how to become better. Now we are going to provide you one more step on how can you restrict your choices not to do the things which are preventing you to do what you don't want to do. So choices have a dark side. If today I give myself the choice to eat, so every time I see a sweet, right? And I think I will be able to make the right choice and say no to it. Let me promise you that will not happen. Once I will be able to say no. Second time I will be able to say no. Third time when I'm distracted and thinking of something else, my hand will go and I'll start eating it. So we need to restrict our choices. And when we restrict our choices, we are going to get the freedom to achieve the goals that we want. So how do we do that? That is where the trigger comes. Any environment, first you have to identify the environment that brings out the worst in you. So in my case, what is the environment which makes me do things which prevent me to be healthy? So the first environment in my case would be when there are sweets in the house. During festival times, when people send sweets to me and those sweets are available in the house, that environment, that situation is a trigger to me, and I find I overeat sweets at that point in time, and that is a trigger for me that makes me get into an impulsive behavior of eating, and this behavior of eating in that environment prevents me to be healthy. So what I'm identifying is what are the things that are preventing me, what are the triggers. So that is where you have to firstly identify what is the trigger, what is the impulse, what is the behavior, and how does this behavior prevent me in going for a counterproductive behavior. So in my case, firstly I have identified festival times, sweets coming to house. Second, when I have to do things alone and I don't have company and I get bored very fast. What happens when I'm not accountable? If I go with my friends, there are 3 friends of us who go to the gym, and each one brings each other and pulls each other up. Oh, no, you're coming. That's the time I can do it. When I do it alone, I can't do it. So the trigger is when I try to do things or get healthy and go to the gym alone, that's a trigger for me. Impulse is what? Because nobody is noticing me and I'm not holding myself accountable to anybody and nobody is there to push me, I at times take it easy. And when I take it easy, my behavior is I don't go to the gym, and because of that what happens is I do not become healthy. So I've identified 2 triggers of mine which prevents me or makes me do things which do not help me achieve my goal. So in the same case, you also have to write down your triggers. Like Glenda, You have to write down what is going to prevent you giving 3 days, 3 hours every day to work on studying for your life coaching. What can come in the way? What are some triggers that can come? So you have to anticipate them. When is it that I lose time completely? So identify those triggers. People, there can be people, it can be event, it can be situations who take you away, who make you do things. Right? Another thing I can write in this trigger is, I suddenly realize, when my son comes home, why? Because he's also a foodie, but he's 25. So that is okay for him. So at that time when he comes out, we are eating out every day because he loves to eat out. He doesn't love to eat inside the house. So that's a trigger to me. My son visiting me from Mumbai is a trigger to me, which makes me eat outside food and fast food, which makes me not be able to say no to him because he's home and I want to share his company and have fun with him, because of which I do things which are counterproductive to me being my healthy. So I've identified 3 things. Festival season, son visiting me from Mumbai, and the third is not having a group to go out and exercise with. So these 3 triggers having been identified, now I go to find out, become aware of what I need to do to avoid this. So trigger happens, impulse happens, awareness should happen, choice should happen, and my new behavior should happen. Now what I have with me is 3 ways I can avoid this. I can overcome this impulse. I can either avoid it, I can adjust it, or I can overcome it. Now let's take one by one. Sweets coming to me in a festival time. What can I do to avoid this impulse, this trigger? Anybody? What can I do to avoid this trigger in my life?
Give away sweets.
Yeah, you're very good. Perfect. So every time festival sweets come, I just keep 1/3 of it. Remaining I distribute within one day to all the people who work for me and to some friends. So that's the first thing. I'm avoiding it. I'm reducing the impact of it. Right? So I have found an answer to my trigger. How can I overcome this completely? That's it. How can I overcome this completely?
No, taking alternative ways for sugar, refined sugar, the
Great.
healthiest sweets.
Absolutely. So next time I know there are 10 of my relatives who always send me sweets. This time I give them a call. Hey friend, just do me one thing. I know I'm now working on my health. This time if you want to send something because you love me so much, please don't send me sweets, send me some cashew nuts, yeah, and some badam. Send lesser quality if you want, but please can you do that? So what am I doing is I am preventing sweets coming to my house and healthy alternatives are coming. So I'm overcoming. One thing is I overcome it completely. Say, don't send me sweets. That is overcome. So nobody sends you sweets. Second is I make adjustments. What is the adjustment? Don't send me sweets, send me dry fruits. So for this trigger of mine, I have got something. How can I avoid? How can I adjust my behavior, and how can I overcome it? Now with my son coming to a home once in 2 months, can I avoid that?
No, we can't avoid that.
And I should not avoid it. If I do, I'm not a good father.
So we can have the healthy eating choices that time.
Right. So how can I
let them do what they want, what he want to do, and let I do what my body fits well.
So that comes under adjustment. I want to spend time with him. I want to be in his company. So whenever he calls for food from outside, I also call for food. But I call from get a fix, or I only call for healthy alternatives that I want.
What if you could make your son accountable for your healthy eating too?
I want to take control of my life. I don't want him to change because of me, because he doesn't need to.
Okay.
Right? I can do that. That comes under overcome. I tell him, Siddhant, you have come home. This time I'm trying to lose weight. So can we both make one decision that when we get food, we only get healthy choices? Does it work for you? If he says yes, I've reached the overcome of it. part of it. I've overcome it, right? By doing what you said. Absolutely. So this is a good one that you brought out. Please remember, for every trigger, find out all three. What can you do to avoid? What can you do to adjust? What can you do to overcome? Right? So he may say, sir, Dad, aisa hai. Yeah, this is difficult for me. 7 days I'm here. Every day, healthy alternative I can't have. 3 days I can have. So I've adjusted for 3 days. And the remaining 4 days, I'm getting my own food, which is healthy, but I'm not telling him to do it. Make sense? Yeah? So that is the way you have to identify the triggers in your life. People, my son, event, festival, situation, what was that? The third thing? I said festivals I eat, a group of friends going to the gym together, situation. These three things are the ones that prevent me from becoming healthy. I identify in each one of them ways to avoid it, ways to adjust it, ways to overcome it, and I start following this every time an impulse comes to me.
And one more thing we can do at that time, sir, we need to strengthen our thinking towards how becoming healthier will be helping us, how it will be changing our physical as well as mental set.
How will you do that? How will you do that?
That we can do by reading or by watching the YouTube videos of the successful personalities related to the health fitness or related to the mental fitness.
Yes, very
Also, like
true.
having a creative visualization of yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could, if I've been successful for 3 months, I could have 2 photographs before and after. Hey, this is the change I'm seeing in me, and put it somewhere for me to see. Right? So whatever I am seeing, what I'm, kind of increasing my willpower, I put it at a place where I can see it and get inspired by it. I can even put Tiger Shroff's photograph without a shirt in my room or on my fridge to say this is the person I want to become. In fact, that would be too much. Maybe Anil Kapoor for my case, right? That's the kind of body I want. So I can very well do that. I can very well put up something which I can keep seeing, which reminds me every time there's an impulse or a trigger that happens, which is trying to take me away immediately. That's the first thing that I see. I look at it and I think, how can I avoid it? How can I adjust to it? How can I overcome it? I have already decided of it. I've already anticipated this in future, before it has happened. I've written them down. I have an answer. I've made my choices not during the time I'm in a trigger. I made my choices before that, and that is how I have restricted my choices to those 3 things. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So I have restricted my choices. The more choices I restrict, the better I will be able to focus on becoming the person I want to become. Great. Any other question anybody has? Anybody wants to know of a trigger that you are going through in your life which is preventing you achieve, and how can you use, avoid, adjust, or overcome in that? Any one of you can share. With this, what have you taken off? How are you going to adjust, avoid, overcome, or adjust a trigger that is preventing you to becoming the person you want to become? These are the 7 modules that we actually do. We just covered the first 2 and a part of the third. That too also in a very short time. Then Mojo Meter is how do we keep our inspiration alive, to keep doing what we find difficult to do, because these are difficult behavioral changes. To change or not to change is not the question. This is where we do the cost benefit analysis that I talked about with you. To develop others, start with yourself, and then as a leader, what can you do about it? So these are the 7 modules of triggers that we do with people. And again, if you want to connect with us to do these workshops, like we have done in large number of companies, for yourself, your friends, or within your organizations, you can come connect with us in these various email ID of mine and phone number. Any question and answer anybody has about what we have gone through, I would love to take on. Anybody, anything that you have learned from it, or any comments that you want to make, any add-ons that you want to make. A couple of you have been very open in coming up and sharing, and thank you so much for that. It takes a lot of courage to come up in an open forum like this and talk about your own life, right? Anybody, any question, please? Any question, any observation, any further inputs that you want to give? Anybody wants us to support you in doing whatever, doing this entire exercise with you right now? We have got time to, yeah, please. Who's that?
I think by mistake. Sanjay sir, do you want to ask something?
No, ma'am. No, exactly not.
Okay.
It will be, if the time permits. I will say it will be a workshop. If every participant is being called and being given a time to discuss what actually they want to do in their life, and what are their triggers, and how they can stop this. But this will be then a time-taking exercise.
Yeah, but even now we can take couple of you more can still do it, because see, we can learn from each other. Like Brenda has given us a lot of inputs, right? When we worked on her goal, we learned a lot on how to do it ourselves. So if you want, Sanjay sir, if you want to share something, we could work on your goal. If somebody else wants to do it, we could work on their goal. We could go directly back here to see, we can start off right here and use this first. Anybody wants to know how to use this with special reference to what you want to achieve? I'd give an example of my health, but anything that you want to achieve. Anyone, it's a great, see, it's a free coaching session you are getting. Take advantage of it. Brenda has done it very well.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Jayat Purushothaman.
Yes,
I would like to share my 2 triggers in life just during this lockdown period.
Okay.
Actually, I have one productive trigger. That is, I wanted to learn driving car. Actually, I was trying from past 10 years. Always I make an attempt for 2 or 3 days and I just leave it off actually.
Right.
I don't take it very serious because there is someone to drive for me.
Right.
And I never took it serious to learn it with seriousness. But this COVID-19 gave a trigger actually, because I didn't want to depend on common vehicles, public vehicles. Wanted to actually learn driving car. Right. And within a matter of 2 months or 3 months, this trigger actually made me to almost a perfection. Right. Now I drive in any traffic and anything, and which took nearly 10 years for me, I could do it in just 2 months.
Very
and
good.
this COVID-19 situation was my trigger actually.
Fantastic. And
great. Almost travel almost 40 kilometers to my college from my home, 40 to 50 kilometers. Although my husband accompanied me, but at least I tried. I alone drive in all traffic situations. This is a positive trigger. This COVID-19 situation made me productive.
Right.
And there's another situation which made me unproductive. That is, maybe this is not the right forum, but I would like to actually share my real-time situation.
Yes, please.
That is the promotion which was where I was eligible. For some reason, I was not given the promotion. Right. But for the same reason, actually, what reason I was pointed for not getting the promotion, but having the same fault, nearly 4 or 5 of my colleagues got the promotion. And my worst situation is one of my colleagues who is my own peer group, that is from my own department, is sharing. I am sitting with her in the same room.
Right.
She has got the promotion and I have not got, but for no fault of mine. Okay, if I was ineligible and if I've lost my promotion, I think that wouldn't have hurt me so much.
Right, right.
Yeah, and I know pretty well that I have just, due to some ignorance, have been denied from getting it, and I may be getting it in future also.
Right.
But the moment they have received the promotion order and I have lost it, almost have become unproductive for this last 1 month.
So what you want to?
Actually, I am a person who don't like wasting even a single moment in my life. So every second I try to be productive. So even if I sleep, I feel that okay, I have taken rest. I don't do anything unproductive, and I don't like wasting time even at college, at office also.
Right.
But now somehow this impact sitting in the same room
Right.
really makes me so unproductive. Almost
Right.
1 month I don't do much of work even at home as well as in office. Only what is required I do. I don't do anything addition to what is required.
Right.
So
So-
both are experiences. So the
Okay.
same lockdown has brought me two extremes: one productive experience as well as my one unproductive trigger.
Okay, so let's work on your unproductive trigger right now, right? So your unproductive trigger is that because of not getting the promotion you want, right? That's the trigger that have, and that keeps coming in your mind. It's an internal trigger. So it's a situation that you have gone through, because of which you have a thought. So what is the thought that comes to your mind when you think of that? That you have been denied something that you deserved.
Yes, sir.
I heard you say that, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is a thought that comes to your mind. I deserved it and I was denied something I rightly deserved. Because of which you feel angry and frustrated. Right?
Angry and frustration towards myself sometimes.
Yeah, towards myself. Yeah. It could be others,
But
towards
I cannot
myself.
show it with anyone else.
Yeah, but the fact is you are still feeling angry and frustrated, right? Now, because of that anger and
Not the anger, sir. It's actually frustration.
frustration, okay, frustration. Yeah, you feel frustrated about this. Because of that,
Because I'm a person who is very hardworking.
Right.
Anything given to me, I'll do it in time, much before the time and everything. I'm very hardworking.
Right.
I know to myself that I'm a very disciplined person. I'm very hardworking, everything, and I surely deserve what I'm asking for.
Absolutely.
For some ignorance, actually it was an ignorance. It was not really denied, but it was an ignorance. But I'm telling that it's a real feeling of mine which is making me really unproductive. How much ever I try to overcome the situation, I'm unable to come out of it.
Yeah, so we'll try to overcome that right now. Okay. So what we have identified, you feel frustrated, you feel angry, you deserved it and you didn't get it. Because of that, the behavior that you are demonstrating now is that you only do what is required to be done and no more. That's what you said, no? Now your excitement of doing more, your own productivity has reduced and you are only doing what is basic, minimum required.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
because I really don't ignore what is basically required at office or at home. I just do what is required. But I'm not a person of sort. I normally do much more than what is required.
Yeah, but you don't go beyond that, right? Earlier you used to be going beyond that. You would do more than what, still your own satisfaction. You were working for your own satisfaction earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what, now we have identified what your trigger is, what is the impulse, thoughts and emotions and your behavior. Now let's go to the next part. And the next part is, why is this not moving? Why is this not moving? Why is my slide not moving?
So maybe network problem, sir.
No.
It is.
Oh, I'm such a fool. It is here and I'm looking behind. I'm doing it on my laptop. Crazy. Okay. So your trigger is there, not getting a promotion. You know what your impulse is, feeling angry and frustrated, right? Be aware about what will this frustration be. Get aware of it. If you remain frustrated like this, what will be the natural consequence of this in the long run? What's going to happen if you remain frustrated like this?
I do understand that I'm unproductive. I'm
So
losing my
yeah,
days.
so you're increasing awareness to say, because I'm frustrated, I'm not being productive, and I'm being aware that if I'm not productive to my own satisfaction level, I will get further frustrated with myself. Right? That's awareness that whatever you are feeling, what will be the natural consequence of it? That if you are feeling frustrated because of which you are not doing things to the level of your own satisfaction, this will result in more frustration, more anger, more unproductive behavior by you. Now you have got three choices. The first choice you have is to identify how you can avoid this. How can you adjust this and how can you overcome it? Now, how can you avoid this feeling of frustration? So what happens? You're sitting, you want to do something, but you only do that much and you say, I don't want to do more. How can you avoid that feeling coming to you? What can you do to avoid that? And anybody can give us suggestions.
Sir, why should we have to avoid that, sir?
Because she is realizing that if she continues what she is doing, if she continues to remain frustrated, if she continues to deliver lesser than what she can, in
Now,
the long, let me finish
yeah.
this. Yeah. In the long run, it will be only hurting her and nobody else. I'm not saying being frustrated is wrong. What happened? Anybody should be frustrated. Yesterday we talked about the 24-hour rule. She has the right to feel frustrated for 24 hours, but after that she has to say goodbye to yesterday. Because if she continues to keep that frustration with her over and over again, her own productivity will reduce and her chances of promotion in the next year will reduce, will diminish and not become more. Is that what she wants? Is that what you want?
It is not that I want, actually.
So you don't want that, right? So, but the fact
is, I'll tell you, the situation wise, as you said, it will take, when I come home, I just forget, I try to forget everything and I just come back when I get up early in the morning. But the problem is, the same person is sharing my room. I'm sitting in the same room. When I see the person, automatically I get recollected of the situation. I'm unable to come out of the situation. I have even requested my HOD, please at least shift my room somewhere. I'm not able to sit in the same cabin. It's really hurting me a lot.
So this is the one. So you have come to the.
More hurt because
one second.
I'm sitting in the same room.
1 second. Yeah. So you have got the first thing. What you are trying to do is you are trying to avoid that, and that is okay. You are wanting to get your room changed so that you don't have to see the same person, for which you have already spoken to your HOD. What has your HOD said? What has your HOD said about this?
We don't have a proper room yet to be changed. We don't have a provision for that.
You don't have a provision for that. So avoiding that person is not a solution that you have as of now. So what can you do? See, at the end of it, we are trying to find ways by which you can overcome this. So what can she do? Anybody? Because see, at the end of it, do you agree to this point that if you do not put in the effort that you were doing before, it might further reduce your chances of your promotion next year? Yes or no?
So may I?
1 second. 1 second. Yes or no? Will it reduce? Will it reduce? Sorry, I'm not.
Yes, I accept.
Yes. Yeah. So is that what you want? No. So we are now trying to find all that is happening with you is normal. We are now trying to find solution as to how can you overcome it. Yes. Who wanted to say something? Please give us suggestions. What can she do?
This is Brinda, sir.
Yeah, Brinda.
Revati ma'am, I completely see you because I went through a similar situation, a very, very similar situation. And only thing, I mean, I'm not here to suggest something, but the only thing that worked for me is something that I would like to share here. So there was this time that I was not appreciated enough for my work, whereas everyone else in the team was appreciated, whereas I was actually the super performer in the team, and that was known for everyone. And it might be by means of mistake or so, whatever. It was forgotten, and it was done at least twice. So I really got irritated, and I even appraised it to my boss over it that this was forgotten, and I didn't really appreciate it how things were forgotten. But when it was not taken in the right spirit, I still like how you said. I felt I wasn't. I was just doing what I was supposed to do, and never was doing giving anything more. I'm someone who takes ownership of every activity, who takes ownership of. In fact, I'm more an entrepreneur, more like it is my own company I work. But then it really took me away. But when my clients come to me, or because I work with students and professionals, I'm a career counselor and a coach in that manner. So when I was working for my clients, maybe I started putting my work towards my bigger purpose. Whoever was my client, in your case, your students are your client. So in that case, when I wanted always to be giving best to whoever is coming to seek better of my knowledge. So I couldn't do lesser work there, and I was feeling exactly the same how you were feeling. Like when I wasn't performing up to my standard, I wasn't feeling good about. So I started working for my own standards. I started working for the my clients who was like the client was coming to me. In that case, my client has to get, even if it is through the company, it is my client. So they have to get the real benefit of this is what the knowledge is being given to me, or this is what I am being specially presented this knowledge by God. So I don't want to diminish it because I'm mad over my company or mad over that particular person who didn't appreciate me. And that actually helped me better. I mean, that actually helped me to deal with my performance, though it I don't know how far it helped me with dealing with the emotions.
Right. So
And
I
thanks
think
for bringing this up, Revati ma'am. This would really
Thank
help me.
you,
Listening to your problem will
thank you,
really help.
Prasad. As you said rightly, because we have that spirit and we work with that spirit, even I don't sacrifice such things because I like teaching. I take it as a passion. I've never given a little chance also. I have never depreciated in my work. That's what I said. What is required, I always do. But something more, I never waste even a single minute actually. That is not possible. What is required for the class, I prepare, I take the class, everything. But something more than that, the time I invest. Normally at home also when I return back, I sit up to 12 o'clock in the night till, to work. Maybe office work most of the time, and sometimes even my personal work. But that extra effort I'm not putting. I'm unable to put because this keeps disturbing me. Because what is required, definitely I cannot take this as a compromise to decrease my quality of teaching and other things. That I never compromise at any cost. Because we need to work for what we are paid.
great. So I think what you need to identify, see, you are, as of now, let me be upfront with you, you are in a victim mode as of now. Right? The difference between a victim mode is saying everything that is happening to you, but not identifying the options that you have. Right? For you to be able, so what I asked, I gave you a way of moving from a victim to a leader mode is what's the opportunity here? So the first opportunity you have, which has just been told to you by Brenda was write down who your main client is and whom are you serving. Focus on doing that. Second, somebody is again Ms. Kareem has given this very well to say, have a discussion with your HOD openly to say, I would like to know what are the areas I need to improve in because I need to, be able to cover up, catch up my promotion. So do give me some advice and take that advice in the positive spirit. Don't go and try to tell the person, no, you're already doing that. Take it, start doing that, go back to him or her and keep interacting with them to be able to, get to a level where they start again trusting you, and possibly next year you will get it. And 1 year loss in the entire lifetime is hardly a loss. And since we are now, as of now, just looking for options, right? And at that point in time, we are not thinking what we need to do, what is right and wrong. Again, somebody has said, how to avoid it is to change your job. That's one option also you have. Adjustment is again very clearly, think of your client, try to do whatever you are doing before, overcome by going and having discussion with your HOD, getting to know what he or she wants, right? That are something that you could do. Anything else that somebody else would like to, as far as I know, sometimes manager has limitation to promote all. Yes, that is also true, right? So you identify various things by which you can avoid this impact on you, adjust this negativity, overcome this finally, and start working on actionizing or doing actions by which you can start getting back to your being the normal you. Because unless you don't become the normal you, you're reducing your chances of success further. See, if I've been working religiously and with dedication for 20 years, one small hiccup like this, I will not let it. I will feel bad. I must feel bad. But after a while, I'll pick myself up, dust it, and say, what can I control? I couldn't control that. Now let me start working on things I can control and start doing various different things so that you can overcome that. Right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir.
So just identify what you need to do. Get into an action mode now. How can you avoid it, adjust it, overcome it? Just write down at least 10 things that you need to do. And all of them you should be doing in a manner that you get back to being the previous you, the wonderful you that you were, right? And how can we let, I always say that, how can I let anybody's opinion about me be bigger than my opinion about myself? If I allow that to happen, I am giving so much power to the other person. Is getting a promotion really going to define who I am? No, never. Because who I am is not defined by a designation or a position. It is defined by the kind of work that I do and the respect that I have of people. So while all this, and let me also tell you, it is perfectly fine to feel bad. There's nothing wrong in it. So, but there's a time to feel bad and there's a time to then get up, kind of remove the dust from you and start walking again and doing the things that you were doing before. So this trigger needs to be identified and worked upon. Otherwise, you will keep letting this feeling pull you down over and over again, and which is not going to be healthy for you or for anybody else around you. Please also see the impact it is happening on the people who are around you. Are you staying with your family?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you think it's also impacting them?
Sure, sir.
Why
the
God?
whole family is impacted.
Impacted, yes. So I won't let that happen. So I'm going to bounce back. And that is the trigger that you have now identified. The good part is you have identified it. Now you use this methodology that we have been talking about to overcome it, avoid the negativity of it, and adjust, make adjustments so that you get back to who you were and reach what you want to achieve.
Sure, sir. Thank
Yeah?
you, sir.
Thank you so much, and very, very grateful to you. It takes a lot of courage to be able to come up and say this. We are all very, very grateful to you for bringing your situation out, because then we have been able to, learn from it. So you have helped all of us learn. So what we talked, failure collaboration, right? We have all learned from collaborating with each other on a failure that you have gone through. And failure is only how you perceive it. It could also be a great input to you to get better.
Right? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. And Brinda, thank you so much for all your inputs. Truly grateful to you and Refti also. Great. And okay, great. Any other questions anybody has, or then we can break and then be back at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, we are going to talk about leading beyond the ego. How do we go beyond our ego of power, prestige, recognition, and how can we start working for the larger good of the society? Any question anybody has? Thank you so much, Binda. Do give me a write to me at pawan@pmconsulting.in. I just heard that you are a career counselor. I would love to be of help to you and your organization. Right?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you so much.
I'll connect with you on LinkedIn also.
Yeah. Please do. Please do. Okay, great. If there are no questions, Nikhit, can you do the
Yes,
final?
sir. We will end this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for wonderful sessions you are giving, sir.
Thank you so much.
Participants are requested to join sharp at 2 o'clock.
Okay, then. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful time. Eat less. Don't get sleepy. So I'm going to eat my full. Okay, bye. Take
Thank
care.
you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhit, ma'am. Awesome session.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.